Okay. No. Okay. So, I'm tired, and I'm trying to keep myself awake. So currently, I'm recording this, but I got through a few minutes of this, and holy crap, am I upset. Okay, so I'm going to kind of record this as I'm going, and I'm going to pause at points where I feel like I need to say something. I've gotten through 10 minutes of this, and I'm going to do essentially like a reaction video kind of thing. I'll cut out the bits where I'm actually watching the footage and I'm not saying anything. Good old Jelloapocalypse here has made his Epithet Erased episode 1 available on YouTube just 82 minutes ago. And I'm a big fan of Jello. I think his videos are pretty good. He's the guy that does So This Is Basically series, and he's been reviewing a bunch of Disney films and Scooby-Doo and Pixar and DreamWorks and ranked them all and stuff like that, and it's all pretty good. He's big in animation, and he's honestly his videos are funny, and the skits he has in his videos with very basic bare-bones animation, you know, they're alright. They're funny. If I'm not mistaken, he accidentally made a show with like multiple episodes out of just those skits, and he put it on freaking Verve, you know, where it's gonna sit next to Crunchyroll anime, Nicktoons, Rooster Teeth, and honestly, 10 minutes I've gotten through, holy crap, this stuff is worse than Ruby. I'm gonna go and I'll pause when I need to, but like, the first thing I did when I looked at this originally is I skipped forward ahead just to see how the animation looked. Holy crap, was that a mistake. Okay, so, based on the trailers, I 100% thought this was some kind of fighting game. Because, like, the trailers showed a bunch of, like, key characters and stuff like that, but they all looked like different fighting game characters. Besides, like, this little girl who ended up being the main character, and I eventually figured out, oh yeah, this is probably a show, especially since it's on Verve.
Dad? Hello? Hello? What time is it?
So, the first thing we may have noticed, I'm going to really quickly get to that, but the first thing we may have noticed is that the animation is absolutely dreadful. There's poses, there's keyframes of poses, and the lip flaps are literally just open mouth, closed mouth. That's not really animated. I'm aware of how to move a still image. I made YouTube videos before. This is not hard to do. It looks smooth. It like rocks decently well, I guess. But like, that's just a still image with like different expressions that you're just changing between. And you'll notice that later on. It looks bad. But real quick, because this comes back multiple times, and I'm already sick of it. So for some reason, there's like character like profile pictures on top of like a 2D plane. And for some reason, that's just okay. Like, can they not animate movement at all? And like, there's also the box design. It's not just the character being like a still image, literally just this still image walking around without like any expression. Like, she's supposed to be confused and something like that here. Doesn't really this is the same thing this always looks like that I've noticed so far. But not only is it the character, it's also like the background color. That's not necessary. You can just have the character there. It would look bad because this already looks bad, but why is there an entire box around it? Unless you're planning on spamming 20 of these things on the screen at once, at which point I have no idea what you're planning here. This shot immediately turned me off this thing, and I had to like stop for a minute. Because I was just, this is not good.
I guess I'll call him. She pats her pockets.
She pats her pockets. So, okay, this is also something I've noticed the show does a little bit, is that they narrate events that are supposed to be occurring in real time. They don't have the budget, somehow, with these still frames, he doesn't have the ability to, like, do basic animation. He's the one drawing. I don't know why he can't, like, do that. Yeah, she pats her pockets. They have no animation budget for that, so they use what I assume has to be a still frame that they use in different shots, and then they say what she's doing. This is a visual medium. This is a medium where you don't say what a character's doing, you show what it's doing. And I'm impressed that you don't have, like, one that's just the arms to the side like that, and then a little bit out, and then a little bit back in, to at least visualize, like, padding of pockets, or something like that. That one doesn't even have to move that much, but this one just moves a little bit to pat pockets, and it shows that you don't have anything in your pockets. But instead, they use a pose they probably are going to use again and again and again and again and again, and they narrate what's occurring. I'm complaining about this in the first 30 seconds. This comes back multiple times. That's absurd.
Locked from the inside. Oh no. This must be how they catch bad guys who come here to steal. I bet I already stepped on a bunch of security lasers.
Okay, so, like, I do want to be kind of nice to the show on occasion and say that they sometimes have okay jokes. Like, I actually kind of like the, like, kid that freaks out and thinks they stepped on a bunch of security lasers and all that. I like the conclusion she comes to, that's how they keep the bad people in. Like, I think there's some humor to be had. Jello's a funny person most of the time.
Ew.
Yeah, so it's this really well animated trailer that made me think this was a fighting game at some point. Because it just has a bunch of unique looking characters that look like they would probably work fine in a fight or something like that. But look at this animation! Doesn't this look interesting? Doesn't this look like it's brimming with personality and like is well animated and stuff? Isn't that kind of cool looking? Yeah, I thought this was a fighting game because of all those, like, silhouettes of characters and all that popping up. But yeah, no, like, the surrounding her, like, doesn't make sense. I thought it'd be like a Skullgirls kind of plot, where it's just like, oh, everyone's after this one amulet thing. But nah. So anyways, back to not an animation.
Epithets. Rare powers. Some people got 'em, some people don't. Do you know what it's called when someone doesn't have an epithet? And if you have an epithet, you're inscribed. Each inscribed person has a unique word attached to their soul that lets them do stuff.
Okay, so I don't know if I necessarily have a problem with this, right? I'm well aware that Jelloapocalypse is a decent to big fan of My Hero Academia. And having not watched the show myself, the moment I heard this premise of like, oh, there's inscribed and there's muddies, and some people are just born with it, my immediate thought was, oh, so we're playing by My Hero Academia rules. That's cool. I think the idea behind this is My Hero Academia rules, but if the powers were dumb. But I can't say for certain because I've only seen two.
I'm the one who filled them out, though.
Yeah, and I got tired just watching you. Back,
Like,
give me your phone.
what is an
I wanna play
epithet?
games. This school stuff is so boring. Am I right? This guy knows what I'm talking about. High five.
Don't touch me.
I like how you literally couldn't make like a high five thing. You couldn't make him with like his one hand up, like just standing. So like you did the two high five things. I'm guessing it's more useful for that character, but I mean, it's yet again like this is currently sitting in the same suggestions tab as like Hero Aka, and you can't even do basic animations. Like, what is this? Okay, also this. Why doesn't the father just have a phone? Why does she have a phone and the dad doesn't? I do not get that. That is very confusing.
Your phone.
Okay. She hands it over.
Cool.
She hands it over. Like, that was distinctly what was implied by that visual. You didn't need to say she hands it over. And in case you're curious, no, I don't think you need this other subtitle here either.
He begins playing an obnoxiously loud phone game.
He said he was gonna go play phone games. The sound effects started going off. You didn't have to say that he started playing a phone game. I think you conveyed it enough. But instead, you actively said it while you were showing it. Either you think your audience is children, which is highly possible, or you think everyone's an idiot. This is not exactly what I was expecting from you.
No! Hey! Children! Who wants to hear a story about a magic artifact?
Oh, good, this is back. I don't even know why this is back. I don't know why these kids weren't just in the same frame, unless that's the edge of their border that they made for this background. Unless that's the edge, which I don't think it is, because I think it went out a little bit further. You could have had the children just, like, on the side over here, like a little bit further down, and then have these guys on this side of the screen, and you would have been fine. But instead,
Enjoyable at time
you decide to bring back this stylistically awful visual where you have everyone in boxes again. And now I'm getting the colors, because there's shading. I'm not sure if the main character has shading in her box, but these characters do, so that's cool. And they all have different colors of boxes, I suppose. I mean, if your character designs are distinct enough, you don't need the boxes, and honestly, I still don't like the box design, but I'm starting to understand it slightly more, why they're there. Because you're trying to associate colors with people. Yeah, why didn't you just have them over there, and then they got excited? They didn't have to come back. I don't understand. Also, this must be the edge of that background. They must not have drawn anything else past that. Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that before. That's cute.
He swan dives into the pile.
He swan dives into the pile. Instead of just showing us that he's running up and jumping in, or like animating any part of that, he swan dives into the pile, is verbally told to us, and he just does his like dancing happy pose. I don't get, like, okay, I would not be critical of this, like in the slightest, if this was just a Jello video, right? Because if Jelloapocalypse makes this, and he put a lot of effort into it, and it was supported by his patrons or something, or he got it kickstarted or something like that, like, yeah, it's whatever. It's a YouTube video. It's really nothing special. It's more Jelloapocalypse humor, and you might like that. But this is on Verve. This is standing next to actual shows and calling itself animation. What even is this?
Ollie runs off to the empty end of the hall, looking for somewhere quiet to rest.
Yet again, why didn't you animate things? She doesn't look tired here. She doesn't even look tired here. She just looks neutral. This is her neutral pose. I think Machinabridge Bridge used their like graphics better. They look better than this. They look significantly better than this. They actually changed facial expressions and like have lip flaps and stuff. It'd be really nice to see her wobble around, you know? It'd be really nice to, in this visual medium that you're being paid or like getting a huge amount of exposure through Verb for, it'd be really nice to see these things you're describing. I think that's my big thing here. I don't know why he decided that the way he does his skits in YouTube videos should be the way he does an entire show that isn't just a big skit. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why he chose to like skip out on so much animation here. What does it, could we even animate a fight in this? There were villains earlier. We have to, I think. Right? Oh, sweet. We're back to boxes. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. And they even just cut back straight to animation. So they must just have some backgrounds done and a lot of backgrounds not done. And they must just be cutting all the corners they can.
Hang on. Feels like I'm forgetting something. Keys, wallet, phone. Keys, wallet, phone. 2
Interesting.
phones. No wallet. Well, that's 3.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. So he has a phone. He has his own phone. Why does he need his daughter's phone? No, that's like, she doesn't have a phone to contact anyone with right now. That's part of the plot. Why did he need her daughter's phone? He has his own phone. He can download games on his own phone. He's using a smartphone, and it's probably her. They're both probably using a smartphone. Why did he need her phone? I don't understand.
He menacingly walks over to the potted plant and, to show that he is a certified bad dude, kicks it as hard as he can.
Jello. Did Jello just attempt slapstick comedy? Visual slapstick comedy using only words? Really? And I think this ruins the joke too.
Yep, shoot that. That's right. Just a little taste of what happens when you mess with us.
Oh my gosh, that does ruin the joke too. Because I think this was about the point where I just gave up because I was like, holy crap, he's trying to do verbal slapstick. No, yeah, if he just kicked the thing and then said shoot it, and then said, this is an example of what happens when you mess with us, that would make him comically incompetent. But instead, you verbally said the joke, and then you did the joke, and I don't know why. I don't know what you're doing, Jello. Why?
Oh, it hurts to walk.
That's fine. That works as slapstick comedy if you actually animate it, but I mean, whatever.
It's dark glory. He dramatically flips around, but he turns too fast and his cape kind of just smacks him in the face.
Oh my gosh, why can't you just animate that? Why are you doing visual slapstick comedy in words? I don't understand. This would be like saying, and the man walked forward and slipped on a banana peel and then just twisting his thing backwards. Like just making that static image just fold over. What is happening? What is happening with this show? Why is this like this? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why you're doing slapstick visual comedy with narration. It's because you don't have a budget. It's a rhetorical question. It's because you don't have a budget and you're too lazy to animate it. And I just don't get why. Did you do this entire thing by yourself? I don't get why this isn't animated. Like, that's my biggest thing. Why isn't this animated? Why is this just the skits from his videos? But shoved into an actual, like, please watch this solely for the skits kind of thing. I don't think you could make, like, a 10-minute video out of just the skits. And this one's 25 minutes. And you have 2 other episodes of this coming. I am concerned.
Everyone, that was a really cool entrance, and we broke through the glass and everything.
I think the museum is closed for the day.
They must...
Why did you do it in the 2D perspective? You could have had reaction shots. You could have had her acting nervous. You clearly have the stills for it. And you probably have the stills to make this man look like an idiot. You could have done that in purely reaction shots. Why the blazes is that in 2D? I don't understand.
Hi, I'd like to report a robbery.
Hey, stop that! He reaches back and a roiling ball of red liquid forms in the air. He chucks it at the phone and it clatters across the floor.
Hello?
You just visualized all that perfectly fine. Wait, no, I'm actually confused. With the visual expectations I have of this show, like, that was visualized perfectly fine. Why did you explain what happened? Why did you feel the need to explain what happens? I genuinely don't understand that. It's gonna be dumb, but okay.
Teleports behind you. He grabs her by the scruff of...
Okay, so first off, that teleports behind you sounded like an audio line that he said. And that's actually a decent joke. But you're literally describing what you visually are showing here. I need you to stop doing that. I really, really do not like you doing that. I don't understand why when you're willing to actually go through the effort of making the frames for something, that you literally say it. I don't get this. This thing is for children, but I also like animation, and I think the character designs are cool, and I think some of, like, the talking between the characters is pretty decent, but it also thinks I'm 7, and I don't like that. I don't like that the show distinctly thinks I'm a toddler for watching it. That's really dumb, and I doubt everyone in these comments are toddlers.
Like a baby kitten.
I guess like a... Oh, we're back to the awful 2D bits. I guess like a baby kitten's okay.
Another foe effortlessly defeated by Giovanni Potage. You're lucky. I don't have time to toy with you today, little girl.
What in the war? Okay, so what action just happened, do you think? Do you think he put her down? Because this thing didn't switch back around. Do you think he walked around her for no good reason? Do you think they couldn't get this shot to somehow line up with the shot of these guys over here? And they couldn't just, like, go from this angle to, like, this angle or anything like that? Because they couldn't just animate that at all? So they're just doing this?
Girl, I've got treasures to steal.
I really wish I could see that still frame that indicated his personality and, like, what he's feeling right now. You're an animator, Jello. What is this? Why is this okay to you?
Come, my minions, to the vault! Or wherever museums keep their stuff! Oh, hold up! Flamethrower! Car crash! Ben, you stay here and guard this girl. We can't have...
So wait, no, hold on a second! Oh my gosh, it is actually laziness! It is 100% laziness! This is the same angle. This here is this angle. I am so upset by that you're cutting corners this hard. That you literally... No, okay, so I thought this maybe was because they just didn't have backgrounds and they were being lazy. No, they have the background. They just don't want to animate this part. They just don't want to work on the episode. Why? Yeah, and also, like I guessed, there was a bunch of action that took place where he dropped the girl and walked around her, and nothing happened. There is no visuals for it because they are too lazy to literally just undo the pickup that they did earlier.
He sits Molly down in the secretary's chair and ties her up with some duct tape.
Okay, so I was gonna stop and say I know the only reason they don't have that, like, visually shown is because the chair is in the background and that's too much work to animate the chair. But there's the chair. It would be too much work for them to have that chair without her in it, drag Molly over there, have his character model just in front of the chair for a minute, maybe back to the audience or something, and then have him move with Molly tied up to the chair. That was too much work for them. Maybe like 4 more stills. That was just too much. That was too much for Jello to be able to handle. Keep in mind, this isn't me complaining about a show that, like, looks really good, but they cut a single corner somewhere, or they're just cutting a few different corners and doing that kind of stuff. What I just suggested still cut a ton of corners, because we're still not animating. Nothing in this looks anywhere close to as good as the intro, because there's no animation. They made an animated show without animation. I'm I'm really impressed.
Might even make it back in time for work.
How'd you move in the chair? No, it's a swivel chair. I guess that maybe.
Hello!
Molly casts a nervous glance at the bonsai blaster.
You know, it'd be really nice to see her cast a nervous glance at the bonsai blasters.
We accept your duel, unreasonably buff stranger! Bonsai blasters, form up! Hi-ya!
A battle of posing, is it? Very well, I accept!
You know, a battle of posing is the only type of battle this show could ever do.
Barrier or...
Ah! It appears I am stuck.
You'll get a cool name when you earn one, Ben!
Oh, I know. How about Kid Puncher?
Why would you call yourself Kid Puncher?
And now we have a hostage.
A hostage? No! A classic bad...
Wait a second, no! So they're willing to animate it now! What the actual hell is with the 2D segments? Yeah, these 2D segments shouldn't be in here. There are ways of getting around them. You shouldn't have those 2D segments, they look awful.
Guy maneuver!
Beep, beep. No, not again. Beep, beep. Ben, you idiot! Beep.
So are they gonna run straight into the thumbtacks? Because there's also thumbtacks.
That's gonna be a lot to clean up.
I really like how you don't like animating
Maybe
things,
we should
Jello.
call
It's
the
really
police.
great.
Oh no, I have been explicitly...
So wait, how did they not, like... If they're over here now, how do they not step on the thumbtacks? And he didn't, like, make a joke about, oh no, the thumbtacks! Or something like that. Why didn't you make that joke? You established in the 2D section the thumbtacks were there, and they were going to walk directly over it if they wanted to reach her. Then I assume they walked directly back. So, like, this is, you've set up something in the world that could work as a joke, and you somehow missed it yourself.
Can you...
Yeah, you have these guys falling over again. You might as well just have
Bring me from
thumbtacks
this
on them
wall.
somewhere.
I'd like to.
Like up
but
on
I
his
don't
shoes
know
or
if the
something
laws
like
of
that.
Physics will allow it.
Do not
I just laughed at a joke I made at this show, because this show didn't think of a joke.
worry.
Oh my gosh.
Lady Mara says laws are merely suggestions.
I like that joke. That joke was funny. That's Nito Bandito. Thanks for that.
Oh, so this is where the museum...
Why don't we have you exploring a new environment into, like, proper 2D animation? Because, oh, by the way, I paused on him, like, switching sides for that model. It's gone now. That's cool.
keeps...
Yeah, that was bad. Why isn't this, like, them exploring it in 2D, and then her, like, stumbling upon
all
them?
its valuables. No employee's only sign is strong enough to keep us out. All right, lady.
Why didn't we have them exploring the halls?
Hand over your treasures.
I guess that transition between still frames looked good, but I mean, that should be like most of the transitions. I shouldn't be able to notice them very well, and they should look that good. This isn't animated. Like, this isn't proper animation. This is a YouTube video that you got onto Verve! And you can make the argument that, well, Ruby's technically not great, and it's also on Verve, but Ruby had animation! Like, I hate Season 1 because it didn't have background characters, and corners were clearly cut everywhere. I hated Season 1 of Ruby. I still haven't finished it. I actually like Season 2. I think Season 2 is good because they actually increased, like, the quality of their animations, and, like, they actually improved on a lot of aspects from Season 1. But, like, Ruby was actually animated. Ruby had, like, characters moving arms and stuff. It was kind of stiff-looking and bad, but it was animated. This is awful. This is dreadful, and this is on the same place that Crunchyroll calls home. And look, there's Rooster Teeth. To say that your show is animated and advertise it as an animated production, and then use stills for your characters, yeah, that just looks awful. And I feel like that's lying to your audience.
Boys, take aim.
They leveled their pea shooters at her.
You can visually... Oh my gosh, we're back to this. You can visually see them raise their guns. Like, you didn't need to say that. Why did you say that? And I don't think the kids are gonna like the little pictures either. I don't think this works for children either. I don't think that kids are dumb enough to where they're just okay with that.
So, we can't hit you from a distance, huh? No problem. Giovanni takes out a wooden bat with a knife taped to it.
We can see that it's a visual medium! Oh my gosh, I swear you've yelled at people before about bad animation and, like, doing something like this. I swear you've gotten mad at people for this before, Jello. Why are you doing this? You're visually showing something, it's sufficient to visually show it, and you're saying it instead. Not instead, sorry, you're also saying it.
No! Lady Mara!
so glad you decided to actually show me that one. Okay, so no, we're actually using video game numbers? We're actually using video game numbers. Cool. So throws don't have video game numbers. I don't know why throws don't have video game numbers. They seem to be pretty effective. But no, it seems we're using video game numbers. That's cool. So this is a video game world?
We're great at crime.
Beware our evil plans.
Yeah, we're great at crime.
I never wash my hands.
The boys in blue are here for you.
They're giving Epithet Erased an entire section in a very similar way that they dedicated to Food Wars. There are more frames in animation in probably the first 10 seconds of Food Wars, like unique frames of animation of characters doing things in Food Wars, than there are in the entirety of the first episode of this show. I do not understand how this made it on Verve, and I do not understand why it's being pushed so hard. Clearly there's money behind it. Clearly I'm not watching that. Clearly there has to be money behind this. Clearly, because they got it onto Verve, and they got Verve to promote it as someone who's not logged in, and part of their, like, oh, we're advertising shows we really want you to watch. Food Wars is right next to it, and it's Verve Select. What is that? Hand-picked shows and movies just for premium members. Okay, cool. Cyanide and Happiness actually has animation in it, but I wouldn't say it's, like, the same visual quality, but dear lord, is it leagues better than this. And I don't really know what the rest of that is, because I don't have the room to complain, like criticize things I haven't seen. I've seen Cyanide and Happiness. Epithet Erased is not as well animated as Cyanide and Happiness, and Cyanide and Happiness I'm pretty sure is Flash. You can see that they know how animation works. You can see that they know how to animate things, and you can see that they just do not care. They just don't care. This show is so lazy. And like, okay, the show itself, the story, it's whatever. It looks like a grand chase for this gem thing. But no, it's just a bunch of thieves going after the thing that steals epithets because it's very valuable. Like, this is the worst children's animation thing I've seen in a long time. Like, there's the garbage like Elsa, Spider-Man, like weird like computer generated animated stuff, and it's bad because it's just the weirdest, most bizarre and surreal thing that has no plot or meaning. And the animations are all very weird and janky because it's all pretty much like preset animations kind of generated by computers. But Jello is much better than this. Jello puts so much effort into some of his videos, and he does so much that seems really good. And he talks about videos, and he seems to really know the animation industry pretty well. And it's so good a lot of the time, but it's worse than Ruby. Epithet Erased, first episode in, worse than Ruby's first episode, which I also thought was pretty bad. Worse than Ruby's first season, which I gave up on like midway through. No, actually, I feel like a quote in the beginning of this Ruby review describes Epithet Erased surprisingly well. This isn't impossible to do. They picked a program that was kind of made to do this. There's probably something that automatically is trying to do mouth flaps, and they have to adjust it slightly, maybe. And the motion's a lot easier to do because you don't have to animate by hand every single thing. But then don't try to make an animated show if you don't have the power to. Don't go for visual slapstick comedy when you don't have the budget to. Don't cause yourself to be so stretched thin with basic animation that you have to resort to 2D boxes of character profile pictures to be able to substitute your animations because you just didn't have the budget for it. If you don't have the budget for it, don't make it and promote it this hard. Like, I am fine that this exists. If this was just something Jello had as a passion project or something, and it got funded through Kickstarter or something, and it's just on his channel, that would be fine. I wouldn't be here right now. But this is on Verve, a program and like thing that's trying to take itself somewhat seriously, right? It's got JoJo's on here. It's got to deal with Crunchyroll. It's got to deal with Nick. Like, this is a serious place where legitimate animations go on to, both anime and American, and we have big old promotion tab here, Epithet Erased. And of course, second episode's already available. Third episode's for premium members. I hate this. This is awful. And I have no idea why Jello thought it'd be a good idea to promote this like this. I'm completely disappointed, and there are so many issues with this. I like Jello. I really do. And when you see someone devote a lot of time to a project that they're clearly passionate about, you want them to do well and you want to enjoy it. I do not enjoy this at all. There are some decent jokes, and the characters I think are okay for essentially being one note, but this is awful. This is absolute garbage. I expected too much of Jelloapocalypse. Cool.